Today we are delighted to gather here to sign the loan guarantee the loan portfolio guarantee facility with AGF. For us, this is a key instrument that will enable us to be more relevant to the SMEs because it will provide us with an instrument that will help us to mitigate risk or reduce risk. And what this will help us to do is to be able to tap into higher risk SMEs, which you find most banks struggle to basically finance. So Stanbic Bank has been supporting SMEs, and more importantly, during the COVID period, the last 2 years, we've heightened our support for the SMEs because we do realize that the Kenyan economy is largely driven by SMEs. So when you look at how Kenya was impacted during COVID, I think we saw that the impact wasn't as significant because the businesses that basically have been running this economy are mostly the SMEs. And as a bank, our purpose is to drive Kenya's growth. And we are not going to be able to drive Kenya's growth without actually being able to support the SME, which is really the heartbeat of the Kenyan economy. So we are pleased to have gotten into this partnership with AGF to be able to see how we can actually be a lot more relevant to these SMEs through this guarantee facility. The guarantee scheme that we're signing will enable us to lend up to $1 billion shillings to these SMEs and enable us to be more relevant, particularly to women in business, as well as SMEs that are in the energy sector as we move towards, looking at climate-focused SMEs. The partnership that we'll be signing today also covers a technical capacity building for SMEs. So again, alongside with AGF, we'll be able to offer technical capacity support to these SMEs. And with this, then we'll be able to have an impact on hundreds of SMEs across the country in the next 5 years. Stanbic investments in financial inclusions are underpinned by the bank's purpose of driving the country's economic growth and are further aligned to the social, economic, and environmental impact areas. And in so doing, the bank has successfully been able to roll out a number of initiatives to empower SMEs on various fronts. By supporting businesses during the tough operating environment brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, Stanbic was among the first banks to restructure loans and issue moratoriums to over 7,000 clients. These restructured loans were worth over 40 billion, of which about 3 billion went towards SMEs. In addition, Stanbic Bank has collaborated with the Ministry of Industrialization and Enterprise Development to launch the Future in Digital campaign that has successfully equipped over 50,000 businesses and individuals with digital skills. And this was quite relevant during COVID when we found that most of the businesses were not able to operate normally. And as Collins has mentioned here, one of the key objectives and one of the supports we look to offer to SMEs is access to markets. So you can imagine during the time of lockdown when markets were closed and there was restricted movements, through this particular initiative of Future in Digital, we were able to support SMEs to be able to place their goods and services online so that they could be able to access markets even when there was a lockdown. The bank has similarly supported and empowered women consistently through the Dada proposition, which provides women with financial and non-financial support. In addition, Stanbic has also partnered with other partners, such as the United States Africa Development Foundation, USADF, to provide small businesses with access to markets and affordable financing, while exposing them to digital technologies through a joint $1 billion grant fund. And this, so far, we've been able to extend about 33 million to MSMEs, cooperatives, and producer groups in Kenya to help them grow their businesses. In addition, I think one of the things that has really been missing here, and that's why we are really pleased to have AGF come in, is that the glue basically between banking and SMEs, the bank and SMEs, where we are able to get other ways to mitigate risks. We do know that most of the SMEs, and one of the ways that banks usually will approach these SMEs is by requesting SMEs to provide securities. And most of these SMEs don't have your traditional securities. So using the guarantee fund, we are able to lend to a larger scope of SMEs without necessarily having to ask them for securities, because the guarantee does help us to be able to manage that. And hence the reason we are saying that we're able to lend to higher risk SMEs, including those that do not have the traditional securities in the form of land and buildings, which is what banks typically normally will request for. The AGF fund is indeed the missing middle that bridges the gap for SMEs across the continent to enable them access required financing for growth. And in Kenya, so far we've seen AGF basically unlock over 200 million, impacting over 4,000 businesses. And for us, I think we are really proud to be associated with AGF and looking forward to see how we can also leverage off some of the solutions that they have to be able to access more SMEs.